What is up, everybody? Piscean X05 here, your host teaching you free astrology, philosophy, vlogs. I have a lot of stuff coming. This year is my year. This year is our year. Let's lock in. So we're not stopping until you learn astrology. This is like my 15th video. And I've been doing this since, I want to say last week. I just started doing this series. So, in this video specifically, what I've been working on, excuse me, is research ideas, simple terms versus advanced formulations. And I also want to show you guys advanced astrology modules. All right, we're going to go over a comprehensive coverage of techniques, modes, applications, methods, terminology, and domains of signs and planets for faculty level research and instruction for the Faculty of Astrological Chronocraters and Catarctic Dynamics. This video is going to be good, so we can teach you, we can help you learn and understand astrology, something that you deserve to know for free, by the way. So subscribe, like, comment, and share if you dare and care with peace and love. I appreciate you, every single one of you that are subscribed already. Whew. Well, I want you guys to stay tuned with me because it's already April 11th. So, coming up next week, I'm going to be going to Denver, Colorado, and doing a big-ass panel, speaking panel, on detransition. This is going to be really, really big. For me personally, it's activating a lot of shit in my natal chart. Not just my sun in the 11th house, my moon is in the 6th house of working and routines, and then my ascendant is in Taurus, the sign of luxuriousness. So I'm probably going to be able to get on a lot of flights in my life. I didn't know until I knew, but now I do. Anyways, we're going to talk about research ideas. All right. Now, what we do is bridge interdisciplinary communication, grant writing, and public outreach. And below, we're going to go over 12 research ideas I expanded on, and they're presented in 2 registers. All right. We have our simple terms, and that's ST, plain language, minimal jargon, suitable for cross-disciplinary faculty, ethics boards, or funding bodies unfamiliar with technical astrology. And we have our advanced research topic, also known as our ART, the original rigorous formulation with precise terminology, statistical methods, and astrological traditions. Alrighty. I'm assuming if you are watching this video in full, you already have a sense about what astrology is. Maybe you've seen my other videos. But what I'm mainly talking about is more philosophical astrology, like death event forecasting. All right. Not a lot of people get really excited to talk about this. Obviously, we're talking about death and dying, but folks, we're all going to die. And another thing is, I've seen a lot of astrologers say that they refuse to even consult people on their death event forecasting. Like if they have let's say someone's diagnosed with cancer, a lot of these astrologers out here are not going to do a reading for you and tell you this is what's really going on and this is why you got caught up with this shtick and stigma of a sickness. But anyways, that's what I'm here for. Piscean X05, your Professor Piscean here. So our first idea is normative database of life-threatening directions. All right. So again, we have our simple terms in our advanced research topic. All right, and these go hand in hand, of course. Now, what we want to do, we want to measure how often certain planetary alignments, like Saturn opposing the Sun, happen in the general population versus near the time of death. If a specific alignment is extremely rare in healthy people but common in those who died, it becomes a useful warning sign. Establish the population distribution of primary directions, PD, from the high leg to anaretic points, Saturn, Mars, fixed stars, 8th Lord, using a large normative sample, n equals 5,000 living individuals, Compare with death charts n equals 500 to calculate sensitivity, specificity, and likelihood ratios for each directional arc. All right, I've talked about primary directions a lot on this channel. I've said it before and I'll say it again here. I have over 800 videos. I have over 800 videos on this channel where I'm not just talking about astrology. I've made music before. I've told my story on here. I'm a very open person on this platform, and a lot of people are not. They like to hide and play pretend, and it's just, it's beyond me. So, why I say that is, most of my videos you can hear me like having to clear my throat and coughing a little bit, or drinking whatever I'm drinking behind the screen here. It's usually coffee. I have autism. I have pretty high functioning autism, to be honest with you. Even though I was diagnosed with mild, whatever. But when I say that, I don't say it to make it a label for myself. I say it because my brain works differently than other people's. And I can guarantee you a lot of us feel like that. And that's why they created this terminology. So I don't know what else to call it other than uniqueness and originality, and I am an individual. So everybody is. So now I wanted to go over idea 2. All right, so combining multiple prediction systems into one algorithm. All right, we have our ST and our ART. Instead of using just one astrological method like Greek zodiacal releasing or Vedic periods, we combine several. A computer learns which combination best predicts death dates from past cases. Then we test it on new cases, train a weighted composite model, logistic regression, or random forest, incorporating ZR Spirit L1 termination. PD High-Leg Saturn, Vimshotari Malefic Subperiod, and Chinese Death Palace activation. We validate on holdout sample n equals 100, primary outcome 7-day death window accuracy. Alright. The South Node as a death marker. So in many traditions, and we'll say South Node, which is also K2, which is essentially a point where the moon crosses the ecliptic southward, is considered malefic. We check whether people tend to die when Ketu enters the 8th or 12th house, houses of death, or the sign of the killer planet. So retrospective analysis of 500 death charts testing the null hypothesis that transiting Ketu ingresses into the 8th or 12th whole sign house or into the natal sign of the Anarita occur at chance frequency. Monte Carlo simulation, 10,000 random dates per chart to establish significance threshold. Alrighty. So hopefully this is making sense. These ideas, hopefully in the future when I have my astrology business, which I already do, my goal is to grow it so I can build a website, build an actual business, and hire people to work with me and expand on these astrological ideas and just astrology as a whole. All right? It would probably be a nonprofit, to be honest with you, because this is shit that I want to get out there to everybody, even if they feel like they don't deserve it, they don't want to know, whatever the case may be. I think everybody deserves to understand why things like certain things are happening to them specifically. All right. So now we have our second domain, which is medical and genetic astrology, and we're going to go over the moon, body fluids, and cellular aging. So the moon rules moisture, regeneration, and body fluids in traditional medicine. All right, telomeres, caps on our chromosomes that shorten with age, are affected by cell regeneration. We test if people born under a strong moon in Cancer or Taurus have longer telomeres for their age. Linear regression analysis of telomere length, TS ratio by qPCR, against moon dignity scores, domicile, exaltation, triplicity, term, face, in 300 healthy adults, ages 40 through 70, covariates, age, sex, smoking, BMI, socioeconomic status, hypothesis. Moon in Cancer or Taurus adds 5 through 8 years of telomeric age protection. All right. Well, I don't have Moon in Cancer or Taurus, so not all of us do, and that's okay. We're all going to die, though. That's the thing. Whether you have a Moon in Taurus, Moon in Cancer, it could add some qualities to your life in regards to longevity, but you're also going to have an expiration date. Human beings, finite cosmos. We were not meant to live forever. Be born forever, whatever. Mars, Saturn aspects, and gut bacteria. So Mars, Mars rules inflammation in the large intestine. Saturn rules chronic conditions. And people with hard aspects between Mars and Saturn, such as a conjunction, a square, an opposition, they may have less diverse gut bacteria and more pro-inflammatory microbes. All right. So we test this with stool samples, 16S RNA sequencing of fecal samples from 200 subjects stratified by Mars Saturn aspect type, hard, soft, none, alpha diversity, Shannon, SHA1, and differential abundance, ANCOM BC, compared across groups. Confounders, diet, antibiotics, probiotic use, expected Mars Saturn hard aspect associated with lower Faecalibacterium and higher Ruminococcus nivis. Yeah. Medical terminology. So that's where our advanced research topic could get a little bit, with the jargon. Because we're talking about medical diagnoses. All right. So, your rising sign and your body's internal clock. This is cool. The rising sign, your ascendant, is the sign that was on the eastern horizon at your birth. And it marks the exact time of day you were born, which influences your body's circadian rhythm. We tested people with different rising signs have different expression levels of clock genes, like clock and BMAL1 in their blood cells. Differential expression analysis of core clock genes and PBMCs from 1,000 individuals with exact birth times grouped by ascendant sign and sect, diurnal, nocturnal, linear models controlling for age, season of birth, and latitude. Our hypothesis is ascendant and fire signs diurnal correlates with higher BMAL1 expression. Alright. Now, I won't give too much away because I want you guys to understand what everything is. So what we'll do is simplify now with advanced astrology modules. So I have, let's check, 8 modules dedicated to helping you understand astrology better. Presented by Astrological Chronocraters and Cat-Hartchick Dynamics. So, what do we begin with? Of course, we need to begin with our foundational domains, the grammar of celestial meaning. We have our planetary domains, essential and accidental significators. So, each planet, all right, governs a spectrum of ontological domains. From the physical body part to the psychological archetype to the social institution. Below is the faculty standard domain table integrating Hellenistic, medieval, Jyotish, and Chinese correspondences. So why do I use 1, 2, 3, 4 things to integrate with our planetary domains? Because it's called being culturally inclusive. Yeah, I know it's a big thing, but yeah. All right, so we have our table here. Now this shows us our planet, what planet is associated with certain body parts, somatopic. We have our psychological, archetypal, social material view here. We also have our Jyotish Karaka significator, and then we proceed with our, excuse me, Chinese element and star. All right. So let's just do this here. All right. So let's do this now. The sun is our heart, eyes, vital force, prana, male right eye, ego, sovereignty, will, consciousness, kingship, authority, leadership. All right. All these things are the sun. And we look and see our Jyotish Karaka significator is Atma Karaka, the soul. And our Chinese element / star is fire, Emperor's star. Okay. Now we're on to the moon, which is our brain, stomach, breasts, bodily fluids, left eye, emotions, memory, receptivity, the mother, the public, crowds, tides of opinion, and it's Marta Karaka, mother. And it's also Chinese water, Taiyan. All right. Mercury is our nervous system, our tongue, our lungs, our hands, our speech, our intellect, our communication, our trickery, our merchants, our trade, our writing, divination, thieves. Balakaraka, child, and it's metal, water star. Alrighty. Venus is our kidneys, our throat, our ovaries, our skin, our reproductive organs, love, beauty, desire, art, pleasure, marriage, alliances, luxury goods, and Kalatra Karaka, spouse. It's a metal star element. All right. Mars is our blood, our muscles, our nose, right nostril, male genitals, anger, courage, aggression, sexuality, active war, surgery, police, violence, Brata Karaka, sibling, fire star, all right? Jupiter is our liver, our thighs, our fat tissue, arteries, optimism, expansion, wisdom, generosity, religion, law, wealth, children, Putra Karaka, child, wood star. Saturn is our bones, teeth, skin, spleen, left ear, melancholy, restriction, time, discipline, labor, poverty, old age, death, Ayuska Raka, longevity, earth star. We have Uranus involved, modern, neural networks, electrical impulses, calves, rebellion, innovation, sudden disruption, technology, revolutions, astrology, not used in Jyotish, not used in Chinese. Neptune, modern, going over the pineal gland, lymph nodes, feet, hallucinatory pathways, dreams, dissolution, mysticism, deception, drugs, cinema, spirituality. Not used in Jyotish, not used in Chinese. In Pluto, modern, cellular regeneration, our bowels, reproductive system, transformation, power, death, rebirth, underground, criminality, nuclear. Again, not used in both Jyotish and Chinese. So our note here is that modern planets are optional in traditional research streams, but may be used as secondary significators in composite models. All right, let's go over the sign domains. The 12 modes of being, and we have another table where each sign represents a mode of expression of its planetary ruler. All right, this is our simple definition. And the faculty uses 3 classification systems from triplicity, element, quadruplicity, modality, and polarity, gender. All right. So we have our sign, element, triplicity, modality, quadruplicity, gender, body part from Aries to Pisces. Jyotishtha, body, Chinese zodiac animal, approximate. So, starting with Aries, fire, cardinal, male, head, face, brain, Saras, the head, and rat. Taurus is earth, fixed, female, the neck, the throat, the thyroid, mukha, mouth, face, and the ox. Gemini is air, it's mutable, male, shoulders, arms, lungs, bahu, the arms, and it's a tiger. Cancer is water, cardinal, female, stomach, breast, womb, hridaya, heart, rabbit. Leo is fire, fixed, male, heart, spine, back, amasaya, stomach, and dragon. Virgo is earth, mutable, female, intestines, pancreas, nervous system, nabi, navel, and snake. Libra is air, cardinal, male, kidneys, lower back, buttocks, kete, waist, and horse. All right. Scorpio. It's water, it's fixed, it's female, it's genitals, bladder, rectum, guya, secret parts, the goat. Sagittarius, fire, mutable, male, thighs, hips, sciatic nerve, uru, thighs, monkey. Capricorn is earth, cardinal, female, knees, skeleton, teeth, janga, shins, rooster. Aquarius, air, fixed, male, calves, ankle, circulatory system, golfa, the ankles, and dog. Pisces, water, mutable, female, feet, lymphatic system, pineal, pada, feet, and pig. So, our faculty emphasis, the modality, cardinal, fixed, mutable, determines how a planet acts. Cardinal initiates, fixed persists, mutable adapts. Now, this is critical in death forecasting. Aneretic planets and fixed signs produce slower but irreversible terminal events. All right. So we have our house domains now, which is the 12 places of life, or they are the 12 places of life. And the faculty uses whole sign houses as the default for all timing techniques such as profection, zodiacal releasing, with quadrant houses placed as Cook, reserved for primary directions and transits. Alrighty. So, we notice we have our house, Hellenistic name, Jyotish Bhava, traditional rulership, and death-specific significations. So, our first house is life, breath, body, lagna, tanur, self, vitality, character. The highlight often here, death if Anarita is in the first house. Second house is substance, wealth, dana, resources, family, speech, second death, astral body dissolution in some traditions. All right, and our third house is siblings, short journey, sahaja, communication, courage, siblings. It's not primary for death. Our fourth house is parents, home, end of life, sukha, land, the mother, hidden things, the end of life. Subtracting the fourth house equals grave. And Arita here equals death in your own home. Right. The fifth house is children, creativity, putra, pleasure, romance, speculation, not death, but the fifth lord and the eighth is a death of a child. The sixth house is illness, labor, enemies, arti, sickness, debt, servants, illness, chronic disease before death. Seventh house is spouse, partnership, kalatra, marriage, open enemies, contracts, death of spouse, or death via partner. Eighth house is death, inheritance, ayur, longevity, taxes, regeneration, it's the primary death house, and the Rita here equals a violent or sudden death. The ninth house is religion, long journeys, dharma philosophy, luck, the father, death abroad, ninth house equals long distance, all right? The The 10th house is our career, our public life, karma, profession, honor, government, death in public, or death of reputation. The 11th house is friends, gains, labha, hopes, income, friends, not death, but the 11th lord and the 8th is death of a friend. The 12th house is self-undoing, confinement, vayaya, loss, secrets, hospitals, imprisonment. Second death house, self-undoing, suicide, hidden death. So our faculty rule for death forecasting, 8th and 12th houses are the primary catarchic places. An anaretic planet in either or the lord of the year perfecting into them is a necessary but not sufficient condition. All right, timing techniques. The chronocrater systems. Let's talk about primary directions. All right, our definition here, it's a day for a year, symbolic motion. A day for a year, symbolic motion. The natal chart's MC, medium coli or midheaven, it has these names. It advances at 1 degrees per year of life. The Nebodki is 1 degrees, equaling 361 days. And other points, such as the ascendant, planets, lots, move accordingly. When a directed point forms an exact aspect, usually a conjunction, an opposition, or a square to a natal point, an event is triggered. All right, we have our faculty protocol for death forecasting. High leg identification, we didn't go over module 4 yet. We will. Anarita identification, Saturn, Mars, 8th Lord, or fixed stars, Algol, Antares, etc. We compute PD arcs from high leg to Anarita. And death is expected when the directed high leg or its anti-scion contacts the Anarita within adding, subtracting 3 days of exactness. All right. So we have an example here. Natal sun, high leg, at 15 degrees Leo. Saturn, Anarita, at 15 degrees Scorpio. Square equals 90 degrees. Directed sun moves 1 degrees per year. At age 90, sun reaches 15 Scorpio. No. 90 degrees from 15 Leo equals 15 Scorpio exactly. So death at age 90, adding, subtracting 0.3 years. And our software using is Placidus, Morinus, or Astrogold with Nebod key. Accuracy requires rectification to adding, subtracting 0.1 degrees. Alrighty. We're going to go over zodiacal releasing, Hellenistic. So our definition, a period system based on the lot of fortune for body, health, or lot of spirit for soul, action. The chart is divided into peak periods, L1, L2, L3 of varying length. Death often occurs at an L1 termination, the end of a major period, or during an L2 crisis peak. We have our method here. Calculate the lot of fortune, which is the ascendant adding moon subtracting sun for a day chart, or ascendant adding sun subtracting moon for a night chart. Lot of spirit is the ascendant adding sun subtracting moon for a day chart, or the ascendant adding moon subtracting sun for the night chart. Now for death, we use zodiacal releasing from spirit, the soul's release. We identify L1, the longest period, which is 10 through 30 years. We find its termination date. Within L1, identify L2, shorter peaks, 1 through 3 years, death clusters at L2 boundaries. So for example, L1 equals Aquarius, 22 years. L2 equals Virgo, 2 years. Death occurs when L2 Virgo ends and L2 Libra begins, often within adding, subtracting 1 month. Alrighty. So, how about annual profections? AP. Well, each birthday, the ascendant advances by 1 sign. The sign's ruling planet becomes the Lord of the Year, LOI. The house that the LOI occupies, by whole sign, shows the year's theme. Death years occur when LOI is in the 8th, 12th, or 4th house, or when LOI is the Anarita. Faculty rule of thumb, LOI in the 8th or the 12th house equals terminal year probability, greater than 60% in retrospective studies. However, timing is broad, adding, subtracting 6 months. So for example, age 72 equals 73rd year of life, counting first year from birth to first birthday. 73 mod 12 equals first house. Wait, 73 divided by 12 equals 6. Remainder 1. First house correction, profection starts at 0 years, first house. At age 1, ascendant moves to second house. So age 72 equals 72 steps from the first house. 72 mod 12 equals 0, 12th house. LOI equals ruler of 12th. Death high probability, not die high probability. The chances for death are higher, right? For Daria, which is a medieval technique, a planetary period system where the 75-year average lifespan is divided into unequal periods assigned to planets in a fixed order. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, plus the nodes. Now each planet rules a subperiod. For example, Saturn, 11 years, Jupiter, 12 years, etc. Death often occurs in the final subperiod of a malefic, Saturn or Mars, before a benefic subperiod would begin. For Daria is less precise than primary directions or zodiacal releasing, but useful for identifying terminal decades. Alright, Vimshatari Dasha, Jyotish, or VD. So, a 120-year cycle of planetary periods, Mahadasa, based on the moon's nakshatra lunar mansion at birth. Each Mahadasa major period is divided into Bhukti subperiods and Antara sub-subperiods. Death is most likely during the Mahadasa or Bhukti of a Maraka, killer planet, lord of the 2nd or 7th house for longevity, or during the Sandhi junction between two periods. We compute moon's nakshatra and the remaining dasa balance at birth. We identify Maraka planets' 2nd and 7th lords from Lagna and from Ayus. And the death window equals the last antara of a Maraka's Mahadasa, or the Sandhi 3 to 6 months before a benefic period. For example, Saturn Mahadasa, 19 years, with Mars Bhukti, 1.17 years. Both are malefics. Death within that Bhukti is highly probable. Right. In our Chinese 4 pillars, Bazi and Zai Wei Du Shi. Bazi, death often occurs during a year when the Daymaster is clashed by the year pillar. For example, Earth Daymaster meets Wood year. Wood controls Earth. Also when the Death Star, a specific earthly branch, appears in the year pillar. Zai Wei Dao Shu, also known as, I'll just say, ZWDS. So I don't, fuck up. Death is indicated when the life palace is afflicted by the death palace, stars, especially Lian Zhen and Kai Sha in the same palace. Our third module is our modes of application. How to use astrology for death forecasting. Well, here's our retrospective validation mode. Our purpose, PU, test a technique on known death charts. Our protocol, our PR, blind analysis, death date sealed, applied technique to generate a predicted window, compare, calculate hit rate, false positive rate, sensitivity, and our faculty standard. Minimum N equals 30 for pilot, N equals 100 for publication. All right. And our prospective forecast mode, predict death windows and living subjects with ethics approval, recruit terminally ill patients, compute composite window, do not disclose or disclose per ethics variant, track actual death. Only in IRB approved studies with nocebo monitoring. Forensic mode, estimate time of death when records are missing, for example, historical figures, unidentified remains, Rectify chart to align PD or dasha with known life events, then project forward to find the last directional contact. Unknown death date for a composer. Here's an example. Last known performance date used as an anchor, PD from high leg to Anarita. After that date gives estimated death window. In clinical palliative mode, assist hospice care by identifying periods of high vulnerability without deterministic language. Provide probability intervals. There is a 30% increased likelihood of significant decline in the next week, always paired with medical assessment. Must be delivered by trained astrologer and grief counselor. Right. Fourth module here is core methods, the technical procedures. High leg determination, Greco-Roman method, per Ptolemy and Bonatti. We have a step-by-step algorithm, all right? We check the sun. If the sun is in a day chart, or the sun is above the horizon, and sun is in an angular house and it's in a day chart, whether it's in the 1st, 10th, 7th, or 4th house, or succedent, the 11th, 2nd, 8th, 5th house, but not cadent, sun is high leg. Check the moon. If the sun fails, check the moon. If moon is in an angular or succedent house and not in a cadent house, the 3rd, 6th, 9th, 12th, moon is high leg. Check the ascendant. If both fail, ascendant is high leg. Check prenatal syzygy. If ascendant fails, use the new or full moon preceding birth. Its degree becomes high leg if that degree is in an angular or succedent house of the birth chart. And check the LOF. If all above fail, the LOF becomes high leg. For death forecasting, the high leg must be the same in at least 2 of the 5 methods to be reliable. Anarita determination. So how do we do that? Primary Anarita is the planet that has the least essential dignity in the place of the high leg, or the planet that is the lord of the 8th house if it is a malefic. We list planets that aspect the high leg by Ptolemaic aspect, conjunction, sextile, square, trine, opposition, and among them select the most malefic: Saturn, cold dry, Mars, hot dry, Mercury, if with malefics. If no planet aspects high leg, the 8th house lord becomes Anarita. If the 8th lord is benefic, Jupiter, Venus, then the 12th lord is Anarita. And fixed stars. If the high leg is directed to Algol, be Persei 26 degrees Taurus, and Aries 9 degrees Sag, or Pisces 7 degrees Leo, those stars act as Anarita. Alright. Direction calculation. Naibodki. So our formula shows 1 year of life, and it equals a certain number of right ascension. And we simplify, so 1 degrees equals 1 year. 1 year of life is 0 degrees 5908.33 of right ascension. So 360 degrees, which is our circle, our zodiacal circle, divided by 2422 days. Wow. Faculty software standard, right? Maureenus is free, or Placidus, which is commercial, with the Naibod key. So for fixed stars, use the Ptolemaic key, which is 1 degrees equals 1 year, with epoch 2000 coordinates. For example, high leg equals Sun at 12 degrees 34 Leo, Anarita equals Saturn at 15 degrees 20 Scorpio. Difference in longitude, so 15-20 degrees Scorpio minus 12-34 degrees Leo, convert to absolute degrees. So Scorpio, 210 degrees, adding 15 degrees 20, 225 degrees 20. And then Leo, 120 degrees, we add 1234, and we get 132 degrees 34. And the difference is 92 degrees 46. That is an angle of 92 degrees 46, which is a square. 90 degrees plus 2 degrees 46 orb. At 1 degrees per year, the direction occurs at age 92.77 years, or 92 years and 9 months. The death window, we add, subtract 3 days around the exact date when directed sun reaches 225 degrees 20. And our zodiacal releasing calculation with an example. Calculate the lot of spirit, or LOS, night chart example. Ascendant adding moon, subtracting the sun. We find the L1 starting point, the lot's degree becomes the peak of Theses. Divide the 360 degrees wheel into 12 signs. The L1 period is the time from the lot's degree to the end of that sign. Convert degrees to time. Each 1 degrees equals 1 year or 1 month for L2. LOS at 5 degrees Gemini. This is our example. So L1 from 5 degrees Gemini to 29 degrees 59 Gemini becomes 24 degrees 55, becoming 24.92 years. Death occurs near the end of that 24.92 year period, termination. Within that, L2 peaks are determined by subdividing each sign into 2.5 degrees increments. All right. Our terminology lexicon, and these are faculty standard definitions. So high leg is the life-giver planet or point that bestows vitality. Anarita is the killer planet or point that destroys the high leg. Alkokoden is a medieval term for the planet that grants longevity if well aspected, the opposite of the Anarita. Aphita is alternate Greek term for the high leg. Catarchic pertaining to the initiation of a critical event, for example, death. Chronocrater, a time lord, any planet or point that rules a specific period. Primary direction, a symbolic movement of 1 degrees per year of the entire chart. Secondary progression, 1 day after birth equals 1 year of life. Less ease for death. Zodiacal releasing is a Hellenistic period system based on lots. Alright, Fridaria is a medieval planetary period system. Vimshottari is a Jyotish, 120-year lunar nakshatra period system. Sandhi is the junction between 2 periods, Vedic, a dangerous time. Maraka is a Vedic term for killer planet's 2nd or 7th lord. Ayodhya is Vedic longevity calculation. Profection, annual advancement of the ascendant by 1 sign. Lord of the year, the planet ruling the profected sign. Whole sign houses, houses where each sign equals 1 house, starting from the ascendant. Quadrant houses, houses based on degree-sensitive cusps, Placidus, Koch. Essential dignity, planet strong by sign, its domicile, exaltation, triplicity, term, face. Accidental dignity is a planet strong by the house, angular, direct, swift, etc. Malefic, Saturn, greater, and Mars, lesser. Benefic, Jupiter, greater, and Venus, lesser. Fixed stars, stars other than planets, some are anaretic, Algol, and Aries. Anaretic degree, 29 degrees of any sign, critical degree, also 0 degrees of cardinal signs. Void of course moon, moon making no Ptolemaic aspect before leaving its sign, often associated with poor outcomes. All right. Let's go over advanced application, composite forecasting protocol. We have our faculty standard operating procedure, SOP, for death window prediction. All right. So we rectify the birth chart to within adding, subtracting 0.1 degrees of the MC and ascendant using known life events, such as marriage, career changes, and more. We can identify the high leg using the five-step algorithm, all right? We identify the Anarita using the algorithm. We compute primary directions from the high leg to Anarita, record the date or dates when it's exact within 0.1 degrees, compute zodiacal releasing spirit, identify the next L1 termination and any L2 crisis peaks within adding, subtracting 6 months of the PD date. Compute annual profections for the year or years of the PD date. Check if the LOI is in the 8th, 12th, or 4th house, or if LOI is in Anarita. and then proceed to compute Vimshottari Dasha if Jyotish dream. Verify that the death window falls within a malefic Mahadasa or Bhukti, ideally in the Sandhi. Compute Chinese 4 pillars, optional. Check if the year's daymasters clash by the year branch or if the Death Star appears. Begin to synthesize. If, greater than 3 techniques converge on the same 7-day window, that window is the forecast. If only 1 or 2 converge, the window is low confidence. And report with probabilities, for example, 70% chance of death within adding subtracting 3 days of date, X based on composite of PD and ZR. All right. Module 7 is research domains, where each technique is most powerful. We have our domain, best technique, and our second best notes. Chronic illness, cancer, organ failure. Primary directions, high leg to Saturn, ZR spirit, L1 termination, slow, predictable decline. Sudden death, heart attack, accident. Transits, Mars, Uranus to high leg, and profection for Daria, Mars subperiod, rapid and erratic activation. Violent death is murder, war, fixed stars, algal. Directions, Jyotish Maraka Dasha, algal equals decapitation, and a violent end. Suicide, 12th house profection, adding moon, void of course. ZR from fortune, body dissolution. Self-undoing requires 12th emphasis. Death in infancy, prenatal syzygy as high leg. Primary directions, very short arcs, rare in faculty research. And historical figure, unknown death. Primary directions backward from known event, ZRL1 termination forensic mode. All right, and now we're going to go over some faculty exercises and assessments here. So, first, our high leg identification. We're given a chart with Sun at 28 degrees Scorpio in the 10th house, and it's a day chart. Moon is at 5 degrees Aquarius in the 1st house. Our task is to apply Ptolemy's 5-step method, which is a high leg. The answer is Sun is an angular, 10th house, day chart, so Sun is high leg. Our second exercise is PD calculation. So what we're given, high leg is Sun, 10 degrees Aries, and Arita, Saturn, 20 degrees Capricorn. Our task is to compute the age of the exact square, 90 degrees. Sun to Saturn, 20 degrees Capricorn equals 290 degrees absolute. 10 degrees Aries equals 10 degrees absolute. Difference, 280, which is 360 subtracting 80. Actually, 290 subtracting 10 equals 280. That's an opposition of 180. Wait, 280 is not a standard aspect. We need a shorter arc. So 360 subtracting 280 equals 80. That's a square? Nope. Square is 90. Adding subtracting 8 to 80 is a semi-square, so no major aspect. Check the trine. 120, 280 subtracting 120 equals 160, so no. So not a Ptolemaic aspect, and we choose a different Anarita. Alrighty? Third exercise here is composite forecasting. We're given a PD date, 2035, 6/12, adding subtracting 3 days, ZRL1 termination, June 2035, perfected LOI in 8th house. Our task is to state the forecast window and confidence level. High confidence death window, June 9th through 15th, 2035. 3 techniques converge. All right, so that was the end of our modules for that. Oops. This is more math involved in the astrology. Came up with some formulas. We're going to go over some more lectures in my next video with peace and love. Piscean out.